My younger sister got pregnant by my fiancé, and they planned to live on my support for his child. And my parents took their side, so I ended the game before it started, and now they're begging. What's up, Reddit? Been lurking here for years, but never thought I'd be posting my own drama. Buckle up, because this is wild, and I'm still processing everything that went down. So I, 32 female, have a decent job as a software engineer, own my house, basically had my life together, was engaged to Nick, 28, male, for about 8 months. We'd been together for 3 years total, and honestly, I thought he was the one. He was sweet, funny, great with my family. Or so I thought. We were planning this whole future together. You know the drill. Then there's my younger sister Emily, 29, female. Now, Emily has always been what you'd call the charming one in the family. Good-looking, smooth talker, but couldn't hold down a job or a relationship to save her life. She's been bouncing between our parents' couch and whatever guy would put up with her for the past decade. Real winner material. The thing about Emily is that she's always been jealous of anything good happening to me. When I got my first programming job, suddenly she was interested in coding too. When I bought my house, she started talking about real estate investing. When I started dating Nick, she made all these comments about how lucky I was to find someone willing to settle. But I never thought she'd go this far. About 4 months ago, things started getting weird. Nick had been acting different. Distant, secretive, always on his phone. Classic cheating behavior, but I trusted him completely. He said he was dealing with some work stress and helping a friend through a tough time. So I figured that was it. I'm not the paranoid type who goes through phones or anything. Emily started coming around more often, which, at first, I thought was nice. She'd never really shown interest in hanging out before, but suddenly she's over every weekend, staying for dinner, being all friendly with Nick. They seem to get along great, which I was happy about. Family harmony and all that. Nick started having these guys' nights or late work meetups that would run really late. He'd come home at like 2 a.m., sometimes not until the next morning, saying he crashed at his buddy Mark's place. Again, I trusted him. We all need our space, right? Around this time, Emily started talking about getting her life together. She was applying for jobs, talking about moving out of mom and dad's place, the whole responsible adult act. I was actually proud of her, finally stepping up, you know. Then Emily started getting sick in the mornings. At first, she said it was stress, or maybe a stomach bug. But when it kept happening for like 2 weeks straight, I suggested she see a doctor. That's when she told me she might be pregnant. I'm not going to lie. I was concerned. We talked about kids, but Nick and I weren't in a rush, and Emily wasn't exactly stable. She seemed nervous and cagey. I figured it was the usual anxiety. She went quiet about it. Meanwhile, Nick got weirdly curious about my job, my salary, my benefits, really specific stuff about my health insurance coverage, and whether it would cover a spouse and children, and how dependents work. He framed it like he was thinking about switching jobs and wanted to know about the benefits package. I thought it was odd, but maybe he was planning ahead for our future. Or so I told myself. 3 weeks later, Emily went to the doctor to confirm the pregnancy. She told the family she didn't want to share details yet. She was processing. Fine, but her text with me turned into a minefield of half-truths and deflections. Meanwhile, Nick kept doing overnights and emergencies. The pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. Last weekend, everything fell apart. Nick had left his tablet on the kitchen counter. We both used it sometimes, but when I walked by, I saw he had Messenger open. I wasn't trying to snoop. The conversation was right there, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It was a thread between Nick and Emily, and not just friendly sibling-in-law chat. The most recent message from that same day was from Nick. Can't wait to see you tonight. Thanks for covering with the sister sleepover story. I scrolled up, hands shaking. Months of messages. Months of them planning meetups, talking about how stupid I was for not figuring it out, making jokes about me working late while they were together. But the worst part was the messages about Emily's pregnancy. Nick, so when are we looping Magdalene in? We need her insurance locked before the baby comes. Emily, not yet. She'll freak. Better to wait until we're married. Then the kid can go on her plan. She makes good money and we can move in. She won't let the baby go without. Nick, right. We let her think it's the best family solution. You and I co-parent. She foots most of the bills. Emily, exactly. And if she bails, you can still get support. But I think we can guilt her into taking care of us. Mom and Dad are on board." I sat there staring at the screen for I don't know how long. The people I trusted most had been planning to use my salary, my house, my health insurance, my life to bankroll their mess. Not just an affair. A plan to make me the safety net for their baby. Years of debugging taught me to breathe and think. I took screenshots of everything, every message, every date, every detail. Then I planned my next move. I called in sick Monday and Tuesday, told Nick I was feeling rough and didn't want him to catch anything. He was so attentive, real touching. First stop was a lawyer. Found this guy, Richard, who specializes in family and fraud-adjacent cases. I showed him the messages. His exact words, "Holy, this is the most premeditated exploitation scheme I've seen in years." Richard laid out my options. I could confront them, but that would give them time to destroy evidence and spin, or I could build an airtight case and hit them with everything at once. Easy choice. We mapped out the plan: preserve evidence, notify HR about potential insurance fraud attempts, prepare to end the engagement, secure my home, and gather proof of the affair and paternity. We needed to confirm the father. Richard knew a private lab that could run a prenatal paternity test using the mother's blood and Nick's sample, completely safe for the baby, but it would have to be done without Emily knowing. Morally gray? Sure. After reading those messages, I didn't feel bad. I invited Emily over for a sister's night, face masks, takeout, a bottle of sparkling juice, for you, since you're not drinking, and herbal tea. She complained about nausea. I gave her the comfy guest room when she got drowsy. While she slept, the lab tech, arranged by Richard's contact, came by for a quick professional blood draw. In and out. Emily never woke up. I collected a toothbrush Nick kept in his gym bag for his sample. The lab picked everything up. Results came back 2 days later. Nick was the father. Next, I hired a private investigator. I wanted the full timeline and any extra evidence I'd missed. Turns out they'd been sleeping together for almost 6 months. The PI got photos, hotel receipts, the works. Most interesting, he found that Emily and Nick had met with a lawyer about how to maximize financial support and leverage my insurance and assets if I chose to be the bigger person. They'd done their homework on how to make me the permanent safety net. Meanwhile, I acted normal at home, asking Nick about his day, talking wedding details, smiling. It was harder than I expected. Every time I wanted to scream, I thought about those messages where they joked about me being an easy mark. Here's where my parents enter, and it gets worse. I wanted to see how deep this went before I pulled the trigger. So I brought up family plans in casual chat. Mom was over the moon about a new baby in the family. Dad was excited, already talking about hand-me-down cribs and how we would make it work. That pronoun stuck in my throat. Then I mentioned concerns about Emily's situation and Nick's sudden overnights. "I'm just worried he's feeling pulled in different directions," I said. Mom got that look. "Oh, honey," she said, "Emily already told us." My blood froze. "Told you what?" "About the baby," she said softly. "We know it's Nick's." I just stared. "What?" Dad chimed in. "They explained the whole situation, how you and Nick might not be compatible as parents, but you're financially stable and would be a good provider. It'll be better for everyone if we all step up. Family takes care of family." "What about the lying, the betrayal?" I asked. "What about them going behind my back for months?" Dad shrugged. "These things happen. At the end of the day, you've got the stable job and the house. Emily's still figuring her life out. This way, the baby gets the best of both worlds. Nick as the father, you as the provider. And what do I get out of this exactly?" "You get to be part of your sister's child's life," Mom said. "Plus, Nick's a good guy. He'll make you happy." I realized my parents weren't just okay with it. They were actively supporting it. "Does Emily know you told me?" I asked. "Of course," Dad said. "We've all talked about it as a family. Well, everyone except you. We were waiting for the right time to bring you into the conversation." That's when it clicked. This wasn't just Nick and Emily. This was a family conspiracy. I asked a few more questions and pieced it together. Emily had told them about the pregnancy almost immediately. They'd all sat down, Emily, Nick, and my parents, and planned how to sell me on becoming the built-in safety net. They had talking points ready for if I got suspicious. Emily would cry and say she'd made a mistake. But that love is complicated. Nick would say he just wants to do right by the baby and hopes I'll be the bigger person. My parents would guilt me about family loyalty. If I balked at health insurance coverage or boundaries, they'd say I was endangering a pregnant woman and an innocent child. And if I kicked Nick out, they'd push me to keep supporting Emily for the baby's sake. Diabolical. Almost impressive. Almost. That night, I called Richard and told him everything. Jesus Christ, he said. This is conspiracy to exploit your assets and benefits. We're moving beyond private breakup. We built the file. Prenatal paternity results, PI evidence, screenshots, recorded conversations with my parents. Single-party consent is legal here. I also secured my home, changed locks and passcodes, froze Nick out of my accounts, and scheduled HR to note, in writing, that no non-eligible dependents are to be added to my plan without compliance verification. Last weekend was supposed to be our big family dinner. Emily had been hyping a surprise. I decided it was the perfect time to share some news of my own. Everyone showed. Emily glowed, playing doting Aunt-to-be's big sister while also exchanging loaded looks with Nick. My parents were in host mode. After dinner, Emily stood to speak. We're so happy to share. Actually, I said, standing, I have a presentation. I hooked my laptop to the TV. Title slide, The Truth About the Baby. As Emily mentioned, there's a baby coming, I said evenly. There are details you all should know. Click, messages between Nick and Emily. The room went silent. For the past 6 months, my fiancé Nick and my sister Emily have been having an affair, I said. The baby Emily is carrying is Nick's. Emily lurched up. Magdalene, you're... Please hold questions until the end, I said. Next slide. Prenatal paternity results. Nick went white. I can explain. Next slide. Screenshots of their plan to leverage my insurance, my income, my home. Notes about how stupid I was highlighted in yellow. As you can see, this wasn't just an affair, I said. This was a deliberate plan to exploit me. Next slides. The PI's photos of them together, hotel receipts, meetings with a lawyer about how to maximize support. My relatives' eyes widened. My parents stiffened. And here, I clicked again, is where it becomes a family affair. Screenshots of my conversations with Mom and Dad, where they admitted they knew and supported the plan. This wasn't just Nick and Emily. My parents were part of the conspiracy from the start. Mom burst into tears. Dad tried to speak, but I kept going. They believed that because I have a stable job and a house, it would be better if I just accepted being used. That's what family does, right, Dad? The room was silent except for Mom sobbing. So here's the conclusion of tonight's presentation. I looked around. Nick, the engagement is over. Emily, I will never forgive you for this. Mom, Dad, you've chosen your side. As of today, you're strangers to me. Final slide. Questions? The room exploded. Emily shrieked that I was humiliating her. Nick tried to talk about love and mistakes. My parents begged me to reconsider. But my extended family? They were horrified. My uncle told Emily she was a disgrace. My cousin called Nick pathetic. My aunt hugged me and whispered that I deserved so much better. One by one, they left, disgusted. Eventually, it was just the 5 of us. That's when the begging really started. Emily switched between sobbing apologies and accusing me of ruining her life. At one point, she actually wailed, "You can't throw away family over one mistake." One mistake that lasted half a year and included plotting to trap me into 18 years of support? Sure, Emily. Nick tried the fiancé card. Come on, Magdalene, we can work this out. Family is complicated. The same Nick who'd laughed with Emily about me being stupid. My parents were the worst. They kept insisting I was tearing the family apart. This is what family does for each other, Dad said. You're right, I answered. Family protects each other, which is why what you did is unforgivable. Finally, I told them all to get out. Nick tried to argue tenant rights, but Richard had already drawn up eviction papers. Emily clung to Mom while glaring at me. Dad tried guilt-tripping me one last time. You'll regret this when you're old and alone. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who think so little of me, I told him. 2 weeks passed. The fallout was brutal, mostly for them. Emily moved back in with my parents. Nick slunk off to his brother's couch. My parents alternated between furious voicemails and weepy calls. Nick's job search collapsed when word spread. Turns out being caught in a conspiracy doesn't impress employers. He's practically unemployable. Emily's responsible adult act disintegrated fast. She quit her part-time job because of morning sickness. Now she's unemployed, pregnant, and expecting someone else to carry her. That someone is not me. Mom calls every few days. sometimes angry, sometimes sobbing. Emily made a mistake, but she's still your sister. Nick just lost his way. Can't you forgive? Dad tries logic. You'll waste money on legal fees. Easier to work it out in the family. They don't get it. It's not about money. It's about betrayal, about how they all schemed behind my back. Richard's thrilled with the case. We've filed criminal charges against Nick and Emily for fraud and conspiracy. Prosecutors love the airtight evidence. Screenshots, DNA, recordings. Their lawyers tried to spin. Emily confused and scared, Nick pressured by love. The messages shredded those defenses. The civil case is coming too. Emotional distress, fraud, damages, 18 years worth of stolen support they plan to trap me into. Honestly, I don't care about the money. I just want them to face consequences. Meanwhile, my life is calmer. My extended family rallied around me. Cousins check in. My uncle offered to cover legal fees. Even some of Emily's old friends cut her off and reached out to support me. At work, my boss told me to take time, no questions asked. He'd gone through something similar. For the first time in months, I'm sleeping well. No more anxiety from Nick's lies. No more confusion about Emily's late-night plans. Just quiet relief. I'm not rushing into anything, but my cousin set me up with a friend for coffee. Just a casual chat. She knew the story already. It's a small town, and said she admired how calm I stayed. Most people would have lost their minds, she said. I told her the truth. Losing my mind wouldn't solve anything. The best revenge was letting them destroy themselves with their own greed. Then came another twist. Emily had the baby last week. Healthy, thank God. But right after, she demanded a paternity test. She wanted it legal and official. Turns out Nick isn't the father either. The real father is some guy named David she'd been seeing before Nick. The timeline means Emily was juggling 3 men, me, Nick, and David, and tried to pin the pregnancies on whichever option looked most profitable. So now Emily is a single mom with no job, no savings, no fiancé, and no support. Nick's left with nothing. My parents? Backpedaling like crazy, claiming Emily misled them. Too late. As for me, I'm free. No entanglements, no child support, no toxic family ties, just a clean break. Sometimes life works out exactly as it should. Update posted 2 weeks later. Just when I thought this story was finished, it got even crazier. Emily is unraveling. She moved back in with my parents, but even they are struggling. My mom called me crying, saying Emily refuses to get out of bed some days, and other times lashes out at everyone. She's overwhelmed, broke, and keeps insisting it's all my fault for not stepping up. Nick, he's spiraling too. Without a job or a fiancé, he's been couch surfing. Word about the affair spread through town, and nobody wants to deal with him. He actually called me crying, saying, "I'm sorry, Magdalene, I ruined everything. Can't you just put in a good word so I can work again?" I told him to lose my number. My parents are still trying to patch things up. They show up at my door with speeches about family unity. They want us to sit down with a pastor as mediator. I told them the only meeting I'm interested in is the one where they explain to a judge why they thought conspiracy to exploit me was okay. Mom sobbed. Dad snapped that I'm destroying the family over pride. But here's the truth. They destroyed the family, not me. Meanwhile, the community has been incredible. My neighbors dropped off meals. One offered to upgrade my security system for free after Nick tried to break into my house. Yes, you read that right. He was caught on camera trying to steal my electronics and some cash. He told the police it was compensation for emotional damages. The cops weren't amused. Even people I barely know have shown support. The barista at my coffee shop adds an extra shot on the house. My mechanic refused to take money for my last oil change. It's been humbling, seeing how many decent people exist outside of my so-called family. And then there's Sarah's parents. Oh wait, not Sarah. In my story, it's Emily. Correction. Emily's old friends reached out to me. Turns out she'd lied to them too. Told them Nick was just helping her plan a surprise for me. When they learned the truth, they cut her off immediately. The prosecutor's building a solid case. The evidence is stacked. The prenatal paternity test, the screenshots, the PI's photos, my parents' admissions. Richard says we might be looking at not just fraud charges, but conspiracy as well. Nick's lawyer is trying to paint him as a victim of Emily's manipulation. Doesn't work when we've got messages of him joking about using my insurance to raise their baby. Emily's lawyer tried the scared pregnant woman defense. The messages of her calculating support payments shredded that argument too. The civil case is going to sting. Richard thinks we'll win big damages. But honestly, it's not the money that drives me. It's accountability. I want the record to show what they did. And in the meantime, my life is lighter. My extended family has been wonderful. They've made it clear they stand with me. My uncle told me he's proud of how I handled it. My aunt said she sees me as stronger than ever. Even at work, my boss gave me flexibility. He said, "Take whatever time you need." Apparently, he'd been through something similar years ago and understood. I've also started dating casually. Nothing serious, just coffee here and there. It feels good to be around people who aren't hiding knives behind their backs. One woman I met laughed and said, "You're a legend in town after that presentation." I laughed too, but inside I realized something important. I don't feel broken. I feel free. Here's the kicker. Remember David, the real father of Emily's baby? He's broke, living out of his car. He wants nothing to do with Emily or the child. So her grand plan backfired completely. No fiancé, no financial safety net, no future lined up. Just her, a baby, and my parents enabling her. They wanted me trapped. Instead, I walked away. Sometimes the best revenge isn't rage. It's letting people choke on the consequences of their own choices. Emily's meltdown only got worse as the weeks went by. She kept showing up at my house, pounding on the door, screaming that I ruined her life. Once she even shouted that I owed her because family takes care of family. I didn't answer. I just recorded it all and sent the footage straight to Richard. He told me, "Every outburst strengthens your case." Nick tried a different tactic. He started posting on social media about how I was cold-hearted and broke up a family. But the receipts were already out there. People who saw my presentation at the dinner or who heard about it from relatives weren't buying it. Comments poured in under his posts. "Dude, you cheated with her sister. Sit down." His attempt at damage control only dug him deeper. My parents kept trying to guilt-trip me. Mom would call, crying, "Don't you miss your sister? Don't you want your niece or nephew in your life?" Dad would switch to threats. "You'll regret this when you're older and alone. Blood is blood." I told them the truth. I'd rather be alone than used. Meanwhile, Richard and the prosecutor were stacking evidence like bricks. The conspiracy case is airtight. We've got Emily's texts laying out how much they could milk me for in support, Nick's messages joking about my salary, my parents' recorded admissions that they were in on it. The DA actually told Richard, "It's rare to get such a neat little package." The civil side is moving too. Fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conspiracy, emotional damages, the whole 9 yards. Richard thinks the payout could be substantial, but honestly, I don't even care about the money. I just want them in front of a judge, facing the consequences. Emily, though, is drowning. She tried to rekindle things with Nick after David bailed. Nick rejected her. He's too busy trying to salvage his own mess. Then she tried to paint David as a deadbeat dad in front of the court, but the paternity test and his financial state sealed the reality. There's nothing to squeeze from him. So now she leans harder on my parents. They've basically become her full-time babysitters. Mom complains to me on the phone about being exhausted, about how Emily doesn't lift a finger. I told her bluntly, "That's the bed you made. Lie in it." The irony isn't lost on me. They all thought I'd be their safety net forever. Instead, they're stuck supporting Emily themselves. And me? I'm thriving. My house is peaceful. I upgraded my security, changed every password, and locked down my accounts. I focus on my work, my friends, and, slowly, on dating. One woman I met said, "You seem so grounded, even after all that." I smiled and told her, because I cut the anchors that were dragging me down. Here's the sweetest part. Word about the whole saga spread through town, and people rallied around me. Neighbors look out for me. My boss told me I handled it better than most would. Even strangers treat me with respect. Meanwhile, Emily and Nick can't show their faces without whispers following them. Actions have consequences, and for the first time in years, I feel completely free. A month later, the legal process started heating up. Richard called me one morning, practically buzzing. "Magdalene, the DA is pushing this hard. They're not just going after Nick and Emily. Your parents could be named in the conspiracy too." It was surreal hearing my parents' names lumped in with criminal charges. But then I remembered Mom patting my hand, saying it was better if I just raised Emily's baby. Dad telling me to accept it because I had the house and job. They'd chosen their side long before I walked away. When the subpoenas landed, my parents blew up my phone. Dad left a voicemail snarling, "How dare you drag us into this? We're your parents." Mom cried, "We only wanted what was best for the baby." I saved every message. Emily, meanwhile, was unraveling faster. She filed a motion begging for financial support from Nick, but with no job and no assets. He's worthless to her. David, the actual father, wanted nothing to do with her or the baby. He even filed paperwork making it clear he relinquished any involvement beyond court-ordered minimums. Emily tried cornering me at the grocery store, pushing the stroller and sobbing, "You can't let your niece grow up without you." I looked her dead in the eye. "You made that choice when you slept with my fiancé." Then I walked away. Nick isn't faring much better. He's living in his car now after burning bridges with everyone. Last I heard, he got into a fistfight at a bar after someone called him the guy who cheated with his fiancé's sister. My parents are exhausted. Mom complained on one call, "Emily doesn't help with the baby. She just lies around. We're raising her child for her." I said nothing. Just let the silence sit. Because deep down, she knows this is exactly what she signed up for when she backed Emily's scheme. The trial is still a few months out, but Richard is confident. "This is one of the cleanest fraud cases I've ever seen," he told me. "They might try to settle, but don't accept unless the terms make you whole." As for me, life has never felt lighter. My house is mine again. My paycheck goes to my future, not someone else's mess. I sleep deeply, without dread gnawing at me. I've started hiking again, picking up hobbies I dropped when my world revolved around Nick and his drama. And yes, I'm dating. Slowly, casually. The woman I had coffee with turned into a few dinners, then a weekend trip. She knows the whole story. Small towns don't keep secrets, but she looks at me with respect, not pity. She once said, "It's incredible how you turned betrayal into strength." She's right, I did. My family thought I'd roll over because family takes care of family. They forgot the other half of that truth. Real family doesn't plot to destroy you. And now, they're the ones stuck in the wreckage they created. 2 more weeks passed, and the fallout reached a whole new level. The DA officially filed charges against Nick and Emily: conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted insurance fraud, and, in Emily's case, perjury for lying in some of her early filings. My parents were named as co-conspirators, though the prosecutor hinted they might get a lighter deal if they cooperated. Mom called me, hysterical. "They want me to testify against your sister. How can I do that to my own daughter?" I answered flatly, "You should have thought about that before you helped her plan this." Dad tried to play tough. "You're turning your back on blood, Magdalene. One day you'll regret this." I didn't even flinch. "No, Dad, you'll regret what you did." Then I hung up. Emily's life is unraveling at breakneck speed. She's drowning in debt, living off my parents, who are already overwhelmed. She spends most of her time posting cryptic messages online. Bible verses about forgiveness one day, bitter rants about betrayal the next. People in town roll their eyes. Nobody's fooled. Nick hit rock bottom too. Word got out about his arrest, and even his old drinking buddies don't want him around. He showed up outside my office one day, looking ragged. Security escorted him out before he could reach me. He screamed across the parking lot, "I loved you, Magdalene." I didn't even turn my head. The civil case is shaping up beautifully. Richard filed for damages, intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud, and punitive claims. He thinks the settlement alone could set me up for years, if they ever have the means to pay. "Even if you never see the money," he said, "you'll have judgments that follow them everywhere." And then came the sweetest moment of all. My cousin hosted a big barbecue last weekend, and almost the entire extended family showed. People hugged me, clapped me on the shoulder, told me I'd handled it with more grace than they ever could have. My uncle pulled me aside and said, "Your parents chose the wrong child to protect. You proved you're stronger than all of them." That hit me hard, in a good way. Later that night, sitting by the fire with friends, I realized something. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I owed anyone. Not my parents, not my sister, not Nick. The weight of their expectations, their manipulation, it was gone. And I finally felt free to dream again. Free to think about my future, my career, my relationships, without looking over my shoulder. My so-called family thought they'd trap me forever. Instead, they built their own prison. And I walked away with my freedom intact. The pretrial hearings started, and honestly, they were almost satisfying to watch. Nick shuffled in wearing the same wrinkled blazer he'd probably begged off a friend. Emily came in behind him, pale and furious, clutching a folder like it could shield her from reality. My parents sat a few rows back, whispering furiously to each other, eyes darting everywhere but at me. When the prosecutor read the charges out loud, conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted exploitation, collusion, I felt a strange calm settle over me. For months, they'd made me feel like I was crazy, like I owed them my silence. But here, in black and white, was proof that I hadn't imagined a thing. The defense tried spinning. Emily's lawyer claimed she was a confused, vulnerable woman manipulated by Nick. Nick's lawyer painted him as a man who simply fell in love with the wrong person. The judge didn't look impressed. Richard leaned over and whispered, "They're throwing spaghetti at the wall. None of it's sticking." Outside the courthouse, people whispered. Some openly glared at Nick and Emily. In a small town, reputations crumble fast. My parents avoided eye contact with me, but I caught Mom crying quietly into a tissue while Dad muttered under his breath. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "We can fix this. Drop the charges. Let's talk as a family." I blocked it without replying. Meanwhile, my life kept moving forward. My boss promoted me, citing how well I'd handled unimaginable stress while still delivering excellent work. My friends pulled me into game nights and weekend trips, reminding me what joy felt like. And the woman I'd been casually seeing, she asked if I wanted to go hiking out of town. I said yes. It was the first time in years I made a decision purely for myself, without worrying how it would ripple through my family. The best part? Peace. Coming home to silence that isn't heavy. Sleeping in my bed without wondering what secrets are being whispered behind my back. Waking up and knowing that my choices belong to me. My parents, my sister, my ex-fiancé, they built a cage out of lies, greed, and betrayal. And when they tried to shove me inside it, I chose the door instead. Now they're the ones trapped. And I'm finally free.